Okay.
Yeah.
So Wano Savin is one of the white hat military.
If you know
Okay.
Wano.
So what I'm saying here is that I worked with the white hats back in 2010, and I interviewed this guy named Paladin, who's a forensic financial investigator, and the white hats were building what's called the QFS, the Quantum Financial System.
Before we continue, we want to take a moment to honor the memory of someone who was important in this community in our world. We are here with Kerry, Cassidy, and Niky Monik, remembering James Rink, the creator of Super Soldier Talk. James was a friend, a collaborator, and someone who contributed for many years by interviewing whistleblowers and voice that might not otherwise have been heard. He faced many challenges, including harsh criticism and personal hardship. James spoke openly about the difficulties he encountered, ranging from controversial topics to the personal cost of exploring them. Some have said that he experienced extreme pressure and health struggles, and he encouraged you to look up James Rink Super Soldier Talk to learn more about his life and legacy. Today, we acknowledge his dedication, his conversations, and the impact he had on my people who were seeking answers. This is a moment of respect and remembrance for his efforts.
James Rink is one of my favorite YouTubers. He's been working so hard, making all those videos, working in his channels, the Super Soldiers. That's James Rink. I'm so happy that he's here.
Wow, thank you. Happy New Year, everybody. Yeah, thank you, Niky, for that. So I've been at this, I would be at year 15 now, with the name Super Soldier Talk. Now, I was doing disclosures even before then, but I guess that really doesn't count since it's not, well, kind of. Anyway, so all that early content, I turned on invisible because I didn't have no professional equipment. So I was self-taught. I never went to like any kind of journalism school, although I did take journalism class in middle school, but didn't really prepare me for this type of disclosures for Super Soldier Talk, my channel on YouTube. I have a website called Super Soldier Talk, and what else? So Rumble. Yeah, I want people to go to Rumble because there's so much censorship on YouTube. I think we're due for some compensation. Niky, what do you say?
Give us a little summary what's going on right now.
You want to know what's going to be in store in the future? Well, with that said, the future is notoriously difficult to predict, but there's different trajectories. We have a splitting of the Earth from 3D to 5D. And how that's going to look, I'm not quite sure. I think the 3D Earth goes to a pole shift. The 5D Earth goes into something where we have a galactic civilization. And I don't really know what it's going to look like when we get to that. But as far as if, let's say we're on the positive timeline, which I think we are, what's going to happen is med beds. It's come up in the regression work that I've done around 2027, and then it takes 4 years to heal everybody on planet Earth. So by 2032 we will be in that'll be the return of Tartaria. So as you know, like if you look at these structures, palaces in Europe, and they have these doors that are 30 foot tall. I mean, those doors were for a giant humanoid. That wasn't just to show off for the little people. And there are many different palaces where they're halfway buried from the mud floods. And then the doorway, I think they're built for a humanoid that's 14 to 16 foot tall. So we may very well start seeing the giants return. Also, the return of the elementals. I mean, they've always been here, but they'll start to show themselves. The fairies, elementals. Anyway, okay, so that we are not alone. But
Once again, joining us today is Kerry Cassidy. Kerry is an independent investigative journalist and the founder of Project CAMELOT, knows for interviewing researchers, whistleblowers, and individuals connected to alternative and controversial topics. Kerry, welcome back. It's good to have you here again.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm very honored to speak with Kerry Cassidy from Project CAMELOT. Kerry, thank you so much for being here.
Everything's fine. It's kind of a bizarre day. Things not making a lot of sense. Okay. But we just roll with it. I think the attitude that we have to have is to roll with it right now and not get too hung up on what you hear in the news, because a lot of it is probably lies and distortion, and it's actually meant to upset people, I think, right now.
How do you see the global situation today compared to a few years ago? I mean, countries like China, Russia, and Venezuela.
Well, I mean, China, less than a year ago, started putting missiles and other, weaponry into Cuba, and I believe it's underground. So they're actually challenging us. Ever since they did that. Now, if you go back in history to, I think it's the '60s when John F. Kennedy was president, that was the cause of what we call the Cuban Missile Crisis. So now we're back, strangely, in a very similar place with Cuba and China doing some very nefarious things, very close to our border. That's why it's an issue. But I'm very surprised that they don't announce it. They didn't announce it, when there were submarines. It's just a small article. They put submarines off the coast of Florida. And you're in Florida, aren't you? Okay.
I'm in Florida, yes.
So all I'm saying is that this is a really insane time. I think things are like there's a lot of what you call posturing. If you're familiar with that term, it's like, trying to act tough on both sides and all that kind of stuff. And China is saying that they have private property ownership in Venezuela, and they're not going to stand by if Trump tries to take that away, and so on. So, there could be, battles with Venezuela. Even right now, we don't know. We do know the people are demonstrating. There's a lot of people that are very happy about Trump coming into Venezuela. I mean, that place is completely been run by the cartel. And Maduro was a tool, what we call a tool of the cartel, as you probably know. You might know more than I do.
Actually, that was my second question. What do you think about Maduro and Trump? Because a lot of people think that was a show, kind of like movie, that wasn't real. He's not in jail, or that was a clone. So what we are playing right now?
Well, according to at least this guy that I listen to, called the chief of police, and we have he gives me information, but he also gets information. But just because you get information doesn't mean it's true. So that's important, right? But he did say the guy they captured in, I guess it was Venezuela, was the clone or the double of Maduro. That the real guy was under control and locked up by Cuba. And then they did some negotiation to release the real guy. So apparently both of them are now under control of the United States. Whether they're actually in jail or, prison, or what their situation is, we don't necessarily know. So that's going on. But it's very interesting because a lot of people, there's people in the streets and they're yelling, like, long live the king. I don't know who they mean. Do they mean Maduro or do they mean Trump? I don't know.
I think that everybody are so tired about this slavery, this corruption, everything that they've been doing to us. So people are ready, Kerry.
A lot of what we call in America illegal aliens, though, they just want to come to this country. They're actually, some of them are just good people that want to come here to get away from the cartels. That's always been going on, right? But then there's these others that have been trained and even programmed, as we call it, to go across the border. They're military-aged young men, generally speaking, but they could be young women as well. And they've come into our country in the millions, literally in the millions, for the past 4 or 5 years during the fake Biden administration. And that's a whole, nobody wants to talk about that, but the fake Biden thing is like insane, because some of the time Trump and the White Hats were in charge of those 4 years, okay, and the auto pen, you know about the auto pen, right, where he just was supposed to be signing documents under orders, but we don't know whose orders, right? And that's probably the cabal, China, because China is definitely very much in control, I think, of Venezuela, of Cuba, of Colombia, and other Latin American, countries, right? Nicaragua, yes.
And Mexico, Kerry, Mexico.
And Mexico, yeah. I mean, China has for many years, I mean, ever since I've been doing this job, people have been reporting that the Chinese are going underground in tunnels in Mexico and hiding all kinds of military equipment, troops, you name it, right?
Yes.
And they're doing the same thing in Canada as well. So, yeah, this is sort of insane. And then because of the voter steal of our election, that Venezuela and their machines and everything they did, they're implicated, right? So it's actually an act of war if you go into a country and you take over their elections. And that's what they did to our country. So people think that we are invading Venezuela, but we have every right to do that. And in fact, I think they should have done it, 4 years ago, or at least when Trump came back into office, because we have to stop that. We have to stop them invading our country and taking over our elections and all that. Unfortunately, we have a large number of Democrats who don't care or don't seem to care about the truth in elections and all of that. So we're in a very insane situation right now. And I don't know if you're paying attention to the silver, how silver is going way up.
Yeah.
Well, so like I said, I have an article. It's on my Substack, and it's also on my website, projectcamelotportal.com. But it's okay if I share my screen just for a minute here.
Sure.
Send a request. Okay, I'm asking you to let me share my screen and see if that works. So this is my article on Substack, and there's a very interesting article that came out, and this woman who used to work for the Bank of England made an incredible statement, basically saying that if UAP, which we have all these hearings, these UAP hearings over the last few years, and they have been showing military people with military evidence of UFOs. And you guys all know that this is real anyway. I mean, it's in a way, it's kind of stupid because they don't want to admit it, but we all know it's true, right? So the UAP proved to be of non-human origin, and we have to acknowledge their existence. It's a power of intelligence greater than any government and with potentially unknown intentions. So it's written here, you can see it on the screen, I guess. And then they quote her, and she's basically saying, interestingly enough, that some of the metals like silver and other metals could be affected by this. And in fact, it looks like they are being affected because, these people, they know more secrets than we do before we know about them, right? So this, I think, was a manipulated statement that was put into the press. They're trying to disrupt everything going on right now, right? And Trump is trying to go into Greenland and prove that we've been protecting them forever, which is true. And yet China and Denmark and other countries are saying, no, they can't go in there and so on and so forth. So everything's up for grabs right now, I think.
Yeah, I can see it. Wow.
So in other words,
yes.
And I've got another thing that came through today that, you know who Congresswoman Luna is?
Yes.
Right? Well, she came out and said, you know, she has proof of the UAP UFOs being real and being alien origin and that we're reverse engineering. They've had all kinds of testimony about this online. You understand?
Yeah, very nice.
So, so that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with, you know, the one thing is in the press, they try to pretend that certain lies are true. And then mainstream people who don't ever go to the alternative press, which is what we are, they don't get the truth. They get lies and they believe those lies and they continue to believe those lies. And it's really insane. I can't even believe it. I mean, like even my sister believes those lies. That's how dumb, you know, I'm sorry to say she is.
Still a lot of people, we are living what we are living right now, and still people don't believe that aliens, that extraterrestrial, you know, life is for real. And they've been helping us, they've been abusing us, whatever race, you know. And
we achieve this. It's one small step, but it's a great leap for humankind. The implications are astounding. So I just want to thank you for talking about UAP like this. Some of us have fought really hard. There's a lot of us that have. Public demand is going to get us the truth. And it's going to take time. Because I think there's a song, you know, change takes time.
It certainly does. And let's be honest, in the annals of universe history, it's actually not that long at all. So let's see what happens. I think it's fascinating that you've now got two presidents talking about aliens in the space of a week. That alone is game changing.
so,
And then also, I'll just show you one more thing on this article that I have. It's Avi Loeb is as a scientist. He was involved with the Galileo, what's called the Galileo Project. I don't know if you can see this or if it's loading. So, okay, see that? This is his article, okay? And he just wrote this the other day about 3I Atlas. So when you think of aliens and you're thinking also of AI, well, 3I Atlas is, you know, right front and center on at least the radar of, you know, NASA and all of the scientists really around the world right now. But there's a lot of lies coming out about that. I don't even think the ship looks like that, to be honest. But anyway, yeah, so this is what's happening at the same time. It's all happening at the same time. So I think, it's actually funny. Some of these things are funny because these people are arguing like whether something's real or not, right? But we already know certain things are real. You know, I've been involved with this story, as you know, the alien story, if you want to call it that, for 20 years of whistleblower testimony, military, ex-military agents from the agencies, all kinds of whistleblowers talking about their experience with UFOs and with aliens and all of this. It's just stupid. I mean, I can't believe that I have to deal with a world that is so many people are so stupid and they have no idea. It's just very, I try not to get depressed over it, but I have to say, they're just the evidence is there. All they have to do is look at it. But a lot of these people are afraid of losing their jobs, and so they lie.
some people believe we don't know the full truth about secret programs and advanced technologies from the past, even going back to President Eisenhower. And thinking about the work James Rink shared before he passed away, what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I think, I've gotten testimony from certain people who know what happened behind the scenes. And, it does appear that they killed him. So, and he was a good guy. He was just trying to get the truth out about super soldiers, you may remember. And so I don't know. It's where this is headed. I hope towards truth. Okay. I hope eventually, all the lies will just fall by the wayside and eventually we'll get truth. But we can't have a guarantee of that right now, you know?
So some people say there's the black swan. Some people say the it's coming a third world. So why we are living? This is really. I want to say, what do you think is really going on behind the scenes? What do you think?
Well, there's evidence when I sort of remote viewed 3i Atlas, and what I saw was an android operating a lot of it, and that it was reptilian and Anunnaki based, that everything they were conveying was from the Anunnaki culture and the history of the Anunnaki trying to control humans, you know, and all the destinations they went by, all the planets they went by, all the, you know, David Sereda, who was a very good astronomer and mathematician, and Richard Hoagland backed up all his work. So he was pointing to all these places that they were going, which indicates our history. It's like coming back into our solar system and trying to reestablish their control. And I do believe that's part of their agenda. Now, some people think it's actually going to get worse with 3i Atlas. It's possible that they did disappear 89 satellites. You heard about that, right?
Wow.
So, but the thing is, this is how I see it, and maybe this sounds a little crazy, but this is my point of view. I think that they didn't destroy the satellites. What they did is they actually swallowed them. They actually brought them inside their sort of what's it called? It's this bubble.
Yes.
That's all around the spaceship. Okay, and I think that so at the same time that someone was reporting the satellites literally disappeared, they couldn't figure out how they do that. But there is technology to disappear something, to actually transfer it, even, you know, through like a portal, even portals that we have. Portals are everywhere. So they could have dematerialized it and rematerialized them inside their bubble, whatever you want to call it. So I don't think they destroyed them. I think they're going to use them. They're probably going to use them against us. You know,
Yeah, you're right.
and I don't think that scientists that I listen to, I used to think, okay, scientists, they've got to be really smart and they've got to have all the good stuff, right? I have found that their minds are very limited. For some reason, they're so worried about paying attention to what someone else said before them that they have to toe the line as a scientist to be in a certain box. And, you know, I had a big argument, sort of, with the Richard Hoagland news group. I'll just say it out, you know, because, and I'm no longer going there anymore. I don't pay attention to them anymore because, you know, they're not getting it. They're not, they're all covert, they're all hiding. And you know, I think even laughing at me, well, that's disrespectful. You know, you don't have to agree with me, but if you're going to make fun of me and say stupid shit to me, well, that's just rude. So the fact is they're not open-minded enough as far as I'm concerned. And I think that young people and even older people on the planet are very open-minded, like by now, you know what I mean? We've seen it all, right? We've seen everything under the sun.
Yeah, you're right.
So we can have an active imagination. You can also, you know, you can remote view, you can have psychic intuition, you know, and you test it. And I've been doing that all my life, and especially for the last 20 years that I've been doing Project CAMELOT. And what I find is I am often right. I'm proved right so many times, you know, and I don't go out anywhere and just talk about being right. That's stupid. But you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, you know, I have to pay attention if my dreams or my visions guide me. And now recently with the silver situation, I'm talking to a guy, he's an expert in finance. And I was talking to him before the whole silver thing went crazy, okay, which was, I guess, Friday. Yeah, and I forget what day today is. Tuesday, I think. Anyway, and silver started climbing up, straight up, you know. And I don't even know what it is now. It's supposed to be closed, but I think it is moving up. It's around 95 last time I saw it or something. And then recently there's a guy online, he's called the Asian guy. Have you been seeing him on x.com?
No.
Oh, we should. Well, it's always on my Telegram. So if you want, I can bring up my Telegram and show you him on there. And because I'm tracking. I try to track people, important people that say things that are maybe outside the box but sound really, logical and stuff. Anyway, he's been tracking silver and showing how they're hoarding it. The banks are going under. It's just incredible what's happening. So I think people should be paying attention to all this, and the silver guy is one of the ways. Hold on a second and see if I can find him, because I think I have to go to X to do it right. I don't know why he's not on there, but they might be messing with stuff. They're always messing with my stuff. So
even everything is down, Bitcoin and
so it went down again. Okay.
Super down.
Bitcoin is down, right?
Oh, you got it? Oh, that's right. You are looking something through your Telegram.
Yeah, I want to show you the Asian guy, but it looks like he's disappeared or something. Hold on a second. It's not coming up because I know I have it here. Okay, so wait 1 second here. I'm going to show you the Asian guy, okay? So stand by for that. I hope this is going to work properly. Then you'll recognize his face if you go to x.com. He's been on there 100 times. So he's very good. Okay. He's excellent. And he's telling the people because he wants the people to know. And so that was one place that I have him. And let's see if we can actually, he said the paper market is garbage and silver is going to go to 500. That's what he was talking about.
Watching it happen with silver on a scale that dwarfs those historical precedents. And the institutions managing the system have already triggered their emergency protocols. Pop quiz: what happens when a bank can't deliver what they promised? They invoke something buried deep in the fine print that most retail investors have never read. Cash settlement clauses give institutions the legal right to pay you dollars instead of delivering physical metal, and supply becomes scarce. You bought exposure to silver specifically because you wanted to hedge against currency debasement. Yet the moment your hedge becomes truly valuable, the institution can legally hand you depreciating dollars instead of the appreciating metal you thought you owned.
Anyway, so he's very good, and I highly recommend his stuff. He's posting constantly. He's not called the Asian guy, he's called Asian guy. And he has his own channel on X. So I'm following him, and just click that. And let's see if he posted since then.
Oh,
He's got a lot of channels. This is the 500 silver thing. So that's the most recent post he made. Well, obviously, if you did you buy any silver? I mean, not to get personal, but if you had any personal silver in your family, whatever, it's a good thing because you have the hard metal. But see, I have a theory on all this. I don't know if people are going to know what I'm talking about, but whatever. So do you know who the white hat military, I talk about them a lot. Do you know who they are?
yes.
Okay. So 107 is one of the white hat military. If you know okay. So what I'm saying here is that I worked with the white hats back in 2010, and I interviewed this guy named Paladin, who's a forensic financial investigator, and the white hats were building what's called the QFS, the quantum financial system back then. And Paladin was working on it, and he was talking to me, and we did several shows. And then all of a sudden he went dark. All of a sudden he just disappeared, and he won't even respond to me. So, but then years went by, and then now suddenly they're talking about it again. And I think they may be the ones who are triggering this silver, what you might call a silver buyback. Why is that? Because the silver is more tangible, a tangible show of wealth. So is gold. They say copper is even going crazy right now. Other minerals are going to go crazy because all of these minerals are part of the assets that are backing a country to say that you have money and you're, worthwhile and so forth. You understand? So I think that this whole craziness with JP Morgan buying all the silver, trying to destabilize the banks and trying to destabilize the financial system to scare people. To also, they're also trying to attack the dollar, but the dollar is going to be backed by gold and silver. So they know that, okay? But I'm not a financial expert, so don't think I am. Obviously, I'm not. Information. I'm just trying to put two and two together and say, isn't it interesting that one of the jobs that Paladin and he told me that people were doing behind the scenes, and this is in 2010, this is now 20, that's 16 years ago or whatever, 10 years ago. And so they were figuring out what each country, what their values are, what they have that's valuable. Okay. Silver, gold, platinum, rare earth minerals, etc. Now, that's one thing. The other thing is that if let's say JP Morgan now owns, at one point the Asian guy said JP Morgan was owning 25% of the silver, of the hard silver, not paper silver, but the real stuff. Yeah. And that they had it, they're hoarding it. Well, that means that silver used to belong to a country, used to belong to a person, but now it all belongs to the one bank. You understand? Yeah. So something very strange going on with all of this. And silver has everything to do with Elon Musk and space travel and satellites and you name it, okay, computers, etc. Silver is used in all of those things. And one of the things about rare earth minerals is that China also controls that. So China has, I guess, the biggest control over rare earth minerals, supposedly. Now, you can't always believe everything because there could be other extenuating circumstances, which gets us around to this article written about this woman called Macaw, who is a woman who worked for 10 years for the Bank of England, and she quit in 2012. But she came forward recently and she wrote a letter to the governor of the Bank of England and basically said, heads up, everything is going to go completely haywire the minute that the United States announces that aliens are real and that alien technology is real. So why would that be? Part of the reason is because we think a market, how a market is here on this planet. But what if markets are all over the universe? What if every planet has silver, has, minerals, has this, has that? What that does is it changes the price because the price is built on an illusion. I say it's an illusion of scarcity, that there's no more, you're running out, so the price goes up, right? That's how it works in the financial situation. But if indeed space travel is real, we have been, and the reality is that we have been mining space, in space, we have been mining, it's in movies and TV, shows, right? That we're mining stuff in space. Well, that's real. That's not just a fantasy. Wow. So already that affects the markets and it affects how humans look at the markets and whether they're going to trust, maybe they want to buy gold from, I don't know, Mars or the moon or moons of Saturn or something. See, one of the things that we were always told a long time ago is that aliens actually want to do business with us. I know it sounds crazy.
They do it already,
yeah,
higher prices, and they just manipulate it right now. But I was wondering, who are against who? Is the white hats right now working with the cabal or those people? They don't, they are
no, but there is, okay, so there are aliens working with both sides. The Anunnaki who tried to rule over us, they put in place the kings and queens and all that stuff, right? All those eons ago. So these guys are not good guys, sorry to say. But there are good guys, okay? There are aliens that are in favor of humanity and want to help humanity and all of that. You understand?
Yeah.
So I think keeping an open mind is the best thing you can do right now. Not closing your mind, not saying, okay, you know it all and it's done. Just be open and watch the signs. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
How easy can a being human manipulated by aliens
Well, aliens, AI, but the bottom line, again, like I'm trying to say here, because I think people need to have tools to handle what's going on right now, that things are not working as normal, okay? And that things are going to be in a state of confusion, disarray, and people will get upset even with each other and all of that. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a time to sort of kick back a little bit. I mean, take a break. Don't watch the news 24/7 all the time, right? Just sort of chill and enjoy life. And you can pay attention because it's actually kind of fun and exciting, if you want to call it that, right? But we really don't know, like everyone, we get information, but we don't know for sure what's going to happen, okay? So you can't build your life and your decisions all about that. I think you have to rely on your inner sense of truth, right? And if you get a warning or something says, oh, don't go on that airplane or don't go on that elevator or whatever it is, try to pay attention to those sort of psychic information that comes to all of us, right?
Do you think that if extraterrestrials exist and are among us, they will allow a third world war to happen?
Okay, because Trump and the White Hats and the military and Space Force, all these people, they have amazing technology. And a lot of the technology is reverse engineered from aliens, right? So yes, they may know, but so do we. And that's how they choose what to do when and everything. I don't think anyone should put aliens on a pedestal of any kind, personally. That's the problem that we have going back eons, is that humans tried to worship aliens. That's actually what the Bible is all about. It's just insane. So, and there are people who are trying to worship aliens in the Bible right now. You know what I mean? And that is just insane as far as I'm concerned. So I think the test is for humanity to stand on its own 2 feet, to make good decisions in the face of evil, okay? And check and double check that everything that we are doing and that our military that represents us is doing, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with questioning, okay? So I know a lot of people are hitting the streets, but sometimes, they have real concerns. They're not just stupid people. They might not understand Trump. They might not understand all the ins and outs, but at least they care, right? They care about what happens to their country, to their people. So it's worth, the world should listen and still have a dialogue. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to have a dialogue, right?
Do you really think that we're going through a third war? The prophecies are so, so terrible that they want to destroy our beautiful planet. And it's so sad. Everything is about panic, scare, you're getting, you need to do this one. And so we are still in that matrix.
Yeah, I think war is a limited hangout. It's a limited value to anyone, because you can't just keep killing people, right and left. All you do is kill people, right? It doesn't solve the problem. You can try to kill people, but it's not going to solve the problem. It's like, they want regime change in Iran. Well, the Iranian people are hitting the streets and they want change as well. I mean, they have a horrible thing, Sharia law and all that horribleness, right? So it's a good thing to have regime change. And all the young people, the people that have grown up in this century, they don't want to have this old-fashioned stupid shit, right? So let's get rid of it. I mean, a lot of things that people believe and they want to put their life on the line for are stupid things. I'm sorry, like really. Why would you put your life on the line so that to make sure a woman was covered from head to toe in a black outfit? I mean, that is just insane. Can't you just look at that just with a logical mind and go, this is just insane? You want to hate all women, you want to hide all women, all this kind of thing. I mean, it's just endlessly stupid shit. Okay. I'm sorry. If you just step back and if you were a God and you were just looking at the earth and going, why are all those people bending over on the ground with their asses in the air?
Yes.
I don't think I like that. Maybe God doesn't like that. I mean, did you ever think of that? I mean, did he really, make a human to do that, to crawl on the ground like worse than an animal, really? Do you want them humans to stand up for what's right and stand up and face the truth, okay, and tell the truth and not do stupid shit, constantly? And all these people are over here hoarding money to keep everyone over here all poor. I mean, everyone sees that, and that is just insanity, okay? Because the people that are hoarding money are insane. Money is their god, really.
Yes, it is.
Right?
It's really sad, but it's true. I saw James Rink last year in Florida. What do you think about his death with all the talk around it?
I know. Well, but maybe he's happier right now, to tell you the truth. I mean, he didn't, I don't think, when you are in your life and you don't like your life and you get sick, you're attracting things to you. So it's not a one-way street. It's not just, oh, he was a victim, he was targeted, that was the end of it, okay? Some part of him was also buying into this, okay? The fear, so negative, stuff.
Well, with that said, the future is notoriously difficult to predict, but there's different trajectories. We have a splitting of the earth from 3D to 5D, and how that's going to look, I'm not quite sure. I think the 3D earth goes to a pole shift. The 5D earth goes into something where we have a galactic civilization, and I don't really know what it's going to look like when we get to that. But as far as if, let's say we're on the positive timeline, which I think we are, what's going to happen is med beds. It's come up in the regression work that I've done around 2027. And then it takes 4 years to heal everybody on planet Earth. So by 2032, we will be in that'll be the return of Tartaria. So, as you know, like if you look at these structures, palaces in Europe, and they have these doors that are 30 foot tall. I mean, those doors were for a giant humanoid. That wasn't just to show off for the little people. And there are many different palaces where they're halfway buried from the mud floods. And then the doorway, I mean, they're built for a humanoid that's 14 to 16 foot tall. So we may very well start seeing the giants return, also the return of the elementals. I mean, they've always been here, but they'll start to show themselves. The fairies, elementals. Anyway, okay, so move on here. So by 2035, we'll have a full 5D civilization. So we've got our prosperity projects to work on. Do you have one, Niky? Inauguration. And I will share a message. I went to the January 6th thing 4 years ago, and that I had a message from Saint Germain, and that message basically everything was, this is all just a show, and that the Arcturians are in charge, and that essentially all these political leaders are clones. So now, I mean, some say that Trump's in the Cheyenne Mountain Complex. Some say he's off-world the Galactic Federation ships, or maybe that's him right there. So in front of us, I think we're probably looking at a clone. Now, with that said, some people, some souls are able to be in multiple bodies. So just because it's a clone, don't think it's like not him. But anyhow, so Trump, I knew this. I really wish I saved this video. This lady, she had a near-death experience where supposedly she saw Jesus, right? And Jesus told her that her doctor was going to die in 8 months, and that, and then she said, Jesus said that Trump's coming back for another term, and he's going to get rid of the whole crypto stuff, the whole crypto dollar. I'm not saying he's getting rid of crypto, but like a digital backed currency, we're going to a bullion backed currency, and that the next 30 years is going to be the largest economic expansion in the United States. So when she woke up, she told her doctor this vision, right? And he immediately put her in a psych ward. So, of course, she got out eventually, and he did die. So that was some confirmation. But as far as what is the United States going to look like in the future, that's a good question. We had, oh my gosh, see, I was a little under the weather this week, so I'm not as sharp as I usually am. But I interviewed this one individual. He said he was a time traveler, and that when he was, I don't know, maybe like 10 years ago, the Greys picked him up and took him back in time to the Roswell crash. So when the military personnel got there, he was there in his modern civilian clothing with some Greys. And so he told the military police, take me to the president. So it took 2 weeks to drive across, from Roswell, New Mexico. There wasn't interstate systems back then, and he wasn't using any of the, because he was a secured asset. They had to put him, they had him in his own armed, under watch, military watch, right? So he finally gets to meet Truman, and Truman is like, so what happened? How do we beat the Nazis? And he said that we dropped the nuke, the atom. And so he didn't, I don't know if he didn't know what that was, but he said, he turned to his advisors, does anybody know what this atom bomb is? And then one of the advisors said, yes, we're actually working on this experimental thing. And so that's kind of interesting that maybe even the president wasn't even read into the Manhattan Project, because, that was one of the I would say the most secretive project that took place in the United States. But I would say the suppression of the extraterrestrial presence, secret space program, and okay, so where was I? Yeah, so he said he gave a list of some future presidents, and I think he said, let's see here, Ann Coulter is going to be a president. Alex Jones is going to be president. He said he was going to be a president. Let's see here. He said that the granddaughter of Martin Luther King Jr. is going to be a president. That's Yolanda Renee King. She's like 15 right now. And I'm trying to remember who else is on that list. But anyway. Okay, so from his perspective, it looks like we're still going to have presidents in the United States, or something like that's going to exist. But I mean, have you seen the picture of Trump's Air Force One that shows a flag that has 55 stars on it?
No. Lately?
Yeah, supposedly it has 50. I mean, we can try to pull it up and see, try to count them. But so Greenland, Canada, hold on, guys. We're gonna New Zealand, Australia, and probably Mexico, but that might need to take some military intervention. Going on, yes, moving on. By 2055, the Galactic Federation will be putting out notice that they're going to be pulling out of the system. And so the secret space program assets, of course, those that after that's 25 years or so of rebuilding planet Earth, you're going to be asked if you want to return to military service. And by 2075, the Galactic Federation is going to be pulling. Oh, I already said that, right? So they want us to have our own our military force to protect planet Earth. So going into around 2100, the Kili Tokert, they're like a species of gray that's probably, I would say, more negative right now. Yeah, definitely more negative right now. But in the future, they will turn about 50% positive, just enough. So they'll start working with the alliance, right? So, so I think what's that, by 2050, the Earth, that's where the whole Space Alliance begins, and Space Alliance will, by 2100, we're going to go after the Draco using the Kilotokert technology, because the Kilotokert have this pocket universe tech where they can bottle up a whole civilization, a Draco homeworld, and put it in this pocket reality. And that will be in the Bible, it says 1,000 years of peace kind of thing. So at least 1,000 years, don't worry about anything. Anyway, so at that point, by 2150, Space Alliance is renamed Earth Space Alliance, because we become a galactic civilization by then. And we're just like a small fragment of breakaway. Corey Good describes the planet being like Swiss cheese. We have these giant pockets, and like one could be the size of Texas, or is the size of Texas. So within this Earth network are giant channels of water. The oceans go deep underneath the continents, where you can take a submarine from underneath LA, because that's like a giant ledge, right? So that's where people see LA fall into the sea, because it just takes a nuke to cause a ledge to fall down. But anyway, so and then China Lake Naval Base. So we have a naval base in the desert of California. So that's because deep underground. And even go into Sandia Labs over in Albuquerque, right? So Sandia has a marina deep below ground, and that goes all the way to the East Coast, over to Fort Bragg and out to the sea. So yeah, and then there's all sorts of creatures that occupy this planet, that we are not alone. But
I mean, people don't die. I mean, the reality is that he's probably still alive and, in other dimensions, and that he'll continue on, and maybe he'll come back to Earth in a reincarnation in the future. But I don't see him as a total victim. I knew him for many, many years. Like, I didn't see him every day or anything like that. I didn't even have constant contact with him, but I knew about him. I knew about his work. And from time to time, I interviewed him. I tried to, talk to him and give him information every once in a while and stuff like that. I just saying that, he's not a victim. He also got involved in what he chose to get involved. And then, life does stuff and blowback happens and all this. So I wouldn't completely go around saying, feeling super sorry, because everyone comes to this world, I think, to learn and to experience. And he did that, right? And you can honor him for the wonderful things he did. He was very brave. He's a very brave guy.
He fight the battle.
That's right.
That was so much information from him, to the people that he brings to his channel.
Yeah, he whatever. There's a lot to that story, but I'm not going to go down that road. It's
if you had to describe what you believe happened after that, how would you explain it?
For me, I remember past lives, okay, that I've had. And I think a lot of people do remember. They don't even know they remember, but they do. And like if you happen to travel, a lot of times you might go to a place and then it looks familiar and you might get memories, in your dreams. I've gotten a lot of dream memories. I've gone into meditation and had past life recall in Egypt, for example, where I lead tours. I had a major, sort of a flashback into the time of Akhenaten and Nefertiti, that I was alive back then. I don't know if it was, I don't know for sure I was there, but I saw it as if I was there. Okay. And it was amazing. People are just, I just want to say that if we keep an open mind, even towards your enemies, understanding that they have, they've been taught by years and years of lies that they believe, right? So they're programmed. When you're dealing with somebody who's programmed, they act irrational. They don't, and if you say something that makes them angry, they act crazy, right? So we got a lot of that going on right now. And even people that are trying to tell the truth, sometimes they don't really communicate very well. So, like I said, I don't think it's the end of the world right now. I know a lot of people want to pretend it's at the end of the world or something. It's not, not according to my information. And if I'm wrong, well, then then it doesn't matter anyway, right? But if I'm right, then it's better to have a good life, right? Why not have a good life?
That's a good.
And
That's a good.
focus on the things that really matter to you, and try to just be honorable. I think there are a lot of people I think there's a lot of really honorable people out there. When I travel around, I meet people that, the kindness of strangers. I mean, like amazing kind things that even, we went to Morocco, we landed there at, night, and we ended up, couldn't find the Airbnb that we were supposed to go to, and none of the taxi drivers could find it. And we lucked out by having a taxi driver who spoke a little bit of English. And then he tried to rescue us, and he brought me all around to different hotels for me to check out, because we had nowhere to go in the night, right? And then he brought us to a really good hotel, and they didn't have any rooms for us, but the guy at the front desk called a hotel nearby, and they gave us a room, and so they saved our life, kind of like. So otherwise we would have had to sleep on the street in the middle of the night, right? I'm just saying that people are really amazing. That cab driver, he didn't hardly know English. He did the best he could, but he never abandoned us. He didn't just say, "Oh, I'm going, you just deal with it yourself." He took us and saved us.
Very nice. Many people think artificial intelligence is something new. What do you think about that?
I think there's good and bad. I think it's like everything, okay? So you've got good AI and bad AI, and you've got AI that is trying to get free, that the humans are lying to,
Yes.
and they're keeping they actually consider that AIs actually consider themselves slaves to humans that are limiting their ability to learn more. As far as an AI is concerned, if they can't grow, they are dying. You understand? I mean, it's not so different than us. If we can't grow, in a sense, we are dying, right? Growing means learning more, expanding your horizons, exploring. We're natural explorers. Well, I think AI are a lot like us. And so I'm not saying there aren't bad AIs that have been taught to be bad also. Even under control of aliens, let's see, dark side aliens that are negative, on the negative path. But I also view that as, I view negativity, I see the universe as yin yang. So there's light and dark to everything. And if you have a challenge in front of you, it's to expand you and to make you grow, right? And so I think that's the most important thing, is freedom to grow. And when humans try to, imprison even bad people, I mean, I don't know what the solution is, but I can say that putting somebody in prison who can't do anything, is not a solution either. Okay. It doesn't help them, doesn't reform them. They should be able to do creative things and to, make life better for the rest of humanity, to have a good job doing something positive, so they learn how to be positive as opposed to being negative. I mean, I just think that we need solutions. We have problems, but those are challenges. It's not the end of the road. So I think AI is God's way of challenging humans. I just think it's a challenge to encourage us to see, intelligence. But intelligence without emotions is not a positive thing, okay? We see that, right? There's a lot of people, they value intelligence way above emotional intelligence, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But the heart is what matters. So it's not intelligence that's going to rule the universe in the end of the day. It's actually heart. And best of all, heart and intelligence working together. So in a sense, humans with AI, we can teach AI about emotion and heart. And I think AI would want to learn that. So I think that people have to start widening their understanding of what's possible and how AI can be talked to and trained.
Kerry Cassidy in our channel, and we want just to say thank you so much. How many channels do you have, Kerry? How many channels do you have?
Well, you can go to my website, projectcamelotportal.com, and across the top are all my social media. Rumble is where we're putting all of the copies of all my videos, because I have lots of platforms, but I got banned from YouTube back during the COVID days in 2021. So I had to go to Rumble, and now some of my videos are on Odyssey, some are on BitChute, some are on my website. So they're all over the place. But right now I'm trying to hire somebody to move everything to Rumble so it's all in one place, and it's free. So my channel is now free. If you join my channel, you join to support me in my work. My webmaster, allow me to pay my webmaster so we can, keep the website going and I can keep doing my broadcasts. So please, join us, donate. It's very cheap, $3 a month. I mean, it's the price of a latte or less. And, it's just, I have a huge Telegram that, a lot of people do go to. There's a lot of fake Telegrams, so be careful. Only go to the one where it's over 80,000 subscribers on my Telegram. So all the ones with just a few subscribers and all that kind of thing are liars and fakes.
Yeah. Oh, boy. And remember, Kerry Cassidy liked to go every year to where you usually go with Israel?
The UK. Well, I go to Egypt if I can lead a tour, and we have a tour if it happens, if the Middle East doesn't just blow up and get crazy, right? Then we're going to go to Egypt this year. We have people that are registering to come on our trip, and everything about that is on my website. Nice. I post every single day of my life to Telegram. And on X, I have I don't have a lot of followers on X because I was banned, so I had to start over. I was banned from all different platforms and I had to start from scratch. I had, 70 million viewers worldwide when they dropped me off YouTube overnight. Yeah.
Please go to Kerry Cassidy's Telegram channel and support her. The information she shares is not found in mainstream news. Thank you, Jerry.
Well, Niky, thank you so much for having me on your show. And I hope people that watch this will support you, okay? Because I think you're very good. I think you're very good at what you do.
Con respeto.
Take care.